So welcome to the closing session of the World Export Development Forum. The World Export Development Forum 2019 comes to an end. It has been very stimulating, very inspiring, and very forward-looking. We would like to thank you all for being again with us. And without any further delay, please allow me to introduce our distinguished panelists for the closing ceremony, starting first with His Excellency Commissioner Muchanga. Commissioner Muchanga, Commissioner in charge of Trade and Industry at the African Union Commission. The State Minister, Ambassador Mesganu, State Minister for Trade and Industry of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia. And my Executive Director, Mrs. Arancha González, Executive Director of the International Trade Center. So please, Commissioner, thank you.
Thank you very much. You all look very happy. Am I wrong? I'm sure you agree with me that it has been a very, very successful event. And we applaud the partnership involving the government of Ethiopia, the International Trade Center, and ourselves. When the institutions and people come together, I think miracles can happen. And sure, this has been a very, very eventful activity, and we are very, very happy with the outcome. For us, it has come as part of Africa Industrialization Week, and it has been equally very, very, very successful. I'll leave it to the Executive Director to go into the details of the key outcomes of the World Export Development Forum. I'll concentrate on the Africa Industrialization Week, because first and foremost, the use of industrialization in Africa is going to enhance the capacity of Africa to participate not just in intra-African trade, but also in global trade. And it is for this reason that we are happy with quite a number of outcomes that have been reached. We reaffirmed our partnership with the Africa Free Zones Organization, who are going now to take it a step further. Instead of looking at national special economic zones, they are going to broaden it to come up with regional special economic zones. And that will place them in a very, very good way to participate in intra-African trade. And to this end, we are going to develop guidelines on the participation of special economic zones in intra-African trade. And we are working on a memorandum of understanding with the Africa Free Trade Zones. Then we also inaugurated the Pan-African Manufacturers Association. Manufacturing is key to industrialization. And the manufacturers are ready now to have a continent-wide platform and engage with the ministers responsible for trade to promote the development of manufacturing environment across Africa. And we are going to enter into a memorandum of understanding with them so that we work closely together on issues of improving the incentives for manufacturing in Africa and looking at the challenges that they face and coming up with appropriate reform measures. We also inaugurated, together with the African Development Bank and the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, the thematic working group on industrialization, trade, and investment. This is very, very critical, which means that the three institutions will not be working at cross purposes. We shall be aligning initiatives. And one of the agreements reached is that we should immediately involve the African Export-Import Bank and the private sector organizations in the work of this technical working group. And we also inaugurated the South Korea Africa Startup Fair and Business Forum, which is still going. I'll be joining them upstairs when I finish here, which is still going on. And there were close to 20 startup enterprises and the small and medium enterprises which were participating in the fair. And the ongoing business forum, we also expect some networking to come up. And last not the least, we signed a memorandum of understanding with the Trademark East Africa. They are going to work with us in the field of trade facilitation in the intra-African trade, in the African continental free trade area, starting with the Eastern and Southern Africa. And what will immediately become available as far as the development of trade facilitation institutions and programs involved is about $160 million. So all in all, it has been a very eventful week, and certainly we look forward to increased participation with the International Trade Center. Like I indicated yesterday, they are involved with us in a number of activities. A good example is the African Trade Observatory, which is going to make it possible for traders to really have information on the prospects across the continent vis-a-vis exports and imports. And they are also developing an online mechanism to facilitate negotiations as we go towards trade liberalization. So, and of course, I can see a lot of enthusiasm. I'm sure you've benefited from the process of coming here. And we also thank you for coming, each and every one of you, because without your participation, we would not be where we are today. We are able to announce results because you came, you engaged, and really came up with suggestions which made it possible to have a very, very successful outcomes. And as you go to your respective places of residence, I wish each and every one of you a safe journey. And of course, sometimes we forget other key partners. Our colleagues with the cameras, they sent the message to the rest of the world. And behind there, we've got interpreters. And even outside, they've got translators. And of course, you have also people who have been feeding us. All of them have done a very commendable job. And as a gesture of appreciation, I request you to give them a round of applause. So thank you. This is where I end. And thank you for your attention.
Excellency, the State Minister for Trade and Industry, Ambassador Mesganu, to share with us his closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Moderator. Your Excellency, Madam Arancha González, Executive Director General of International Trade Center. Your Excellency, my friend Ambassador Albert Muchanga, African Union Commissioner for Trade and Industry, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It was indeed a successful week where we discussed and exchanged experience on important agendas of our time: continental integration, private sector development, trade and investment, and innovation. The focused discussion on women and youth were very much critical ones to realize the plans and ambition we have for our continent. I believe all of us who took part in this forum should be committed to follow up and devise implementable interventions for the issues that have been forwarded and shared experiences. Such forums' effectiveness is not only measured by the range of delegates convened or the diverse topics covered. Rather, the core measure of effectiveness relies on the extent of learning that delegates take away and implement in their respective nations, institutions, and businesses. Hence, I would call upon all the commitment to transferring important outputs of the forum into actual practices. The next convening of WEDF 2020 should start from the progress report on WEDF 2019 outcomes. Excellencies, in terms of focus area, 4 major points have come out strongly. The primary one is expediting the implementation of AFCFTA. This regional integration will be instrumental for harmonizing policies, and regional integration will be instrumental for policies and regulation to facilitate trade and investment. AFCFTA is an area where we can create a greater synergy as a continent and economic benefit for our respective nations. Furthermore, the spillover effect of this for our respective integration goes beyond just trade. Rather, its positive impact trickles down to many of the economic challenges that we are facing today. The other important area of focus is creating enabling environment for trade and investment. The wide exchange of experience and views reflected during the YES and the She Trades Forum have framed the different barriers with regard to entrepreneurship and inclusivity of women in trade and investment. And it is my conviction that if we make our system work for marginalized, it will be automatically conducive for the rest. Hence, we should take the responsibility of ensuring a trade and investment ecosystem that empowers women and breeds entrepreneurship. It is apparent, therefore, that all the work cannot be carried out by government. In this regard, the private sector is the primary one. Hence, government should be keen to thoroughly engage and participate the private sector in every economic development agenda. We ought to ensure the private sector in our respective nations are operating to their fullest potential and also be ready for what is coming through the regional integration. AFCFTA without the private sector doesn't really mean anything at all, as it is high time that the private sector to get involved on the designing of the reforms necessary to successfully implement the agreements. As we all agree, the task we have at hand cannot be delivered with a business as usual mode of operation. To deliver on our plan, we need to aggressively start leveraging technology and innovation. Ladies and gentlemen, if we focus and deliver on the aforementioned area, I don't see any reason why we cannot fulfill our plan of creating a prosperous Africa. I hope all the panel we have had this week under the African Industrial Week and World Export Development Forum have met your expectation, and Ethiopia have been a pleasant host. I would like to conclude by thanking all delegates for coming from all over the world to attend this forum and sharing extensive wealth of information and experience during the panels. You have made the event a success. On behalf of the government of Ethiopia, I would also thank our partner, the African Union, particularly His Excellency Ambassador Albert Muchanga, and the ITC, particularly Your Excellency Arancha González, for bringing the 2019 World Export Development Forum to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Finally, I would like to pay a special tribute for the committee members from the African Union, the ITC, and the Ministry of Trade and Industry of Ethiopia. Thank you for working tirelessly to make this forum a success. I thank you very much.
Sorry, it's not working. Thank you. Thank you for having made the commitment that the outcome of this WEDF will be translated into practical actions. We would like just to recall that the WEDF is maybe after the launch of the AFCFTA, the first big event that have brought together policymakers, private sector representatives, the civil society, women, youth, and also the journalists, because we have a number of journalists coming from coming from a number of African countries here, French, English, Portuguese, and Arabic. So thanks to all of you. And maintenant, je vais passer la parole à ma directrice exécutive pour le mot de clôture. Madame González, c'est à vous. Merci.
Thank you very much, Aissatou. A very big week comes to an end. I want to tell you that I just came from a meeting with the President of Ethiopia, Her Excellency Fetlework, and I passed on my thanks to her government, especially to the Ministry of Trade and Industry and all the people working there. Ambassador, I know how much efforts you've put into making sure that this would be a successful WEDF. I think Ethiopia deserves our recognition. Please give them a round of applause. Dominating the discussions this week was the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement with a very clear message: implementation. Make it now work on the ground and make sure that it is inclusive of all voices, whether they are big, medium, or small, whether they are young or old, whether they are men or women. Among the 1,000 people that came this week, lots of connections were made, because this is what the World Export Development Forum is about, is connecting, sharing, learning. They tell me, I don't know if it is true, Ambassador, that Addis Ababa means new flower.
Yes,
and we've seen the blossoming of many new flowers this week. We just need to make sure we water this. We need to water the plants because we want to harvest many more flowers in the future. I want to thank Commissioner Muchanga. And I want to thank your teams in the AU Trade and Industry. I see a number of them, from Ron to all the colleagues in the media, communication, translation, interpretation, food catering, and the rest. Please, a big applause to all of them. Because I know that without the many little hands behind the screens, this would not have been possible. This week we heard a lot from young people. There were around 30 young people from 12 countries that took part as panelists in their own forum. Young people were the driving force behind the Youth Media Zone, a learning space for young influencers. They had a wall to tell us what they want from Africa, and guess what? Let me tell you a few of the things they told us. Quote unquote, economic transformation that serves African livelihoods first. Second, quote, one that works for all people, but the most interesting one, I quote them, leaders, wake up. Exclamation mark. Amazing. Thank you very much, Yalda, for animating this space. You've put a lot of efforts into this. We've heard a lot about manufacturing of mobile phones in Rwanda, in South Africa, and soon in Nigeria. We've heard about how Senegal is making digital work for entrepreneurs. We've heard about insects being transformed into lactose-free milk. What do all these things have in common? It's about value addition. Africa needs to capture value and scale up, adding jobs and stimulating growth. At the She Trades Global, more than 50 African women business associations told us that they wanted to be more involved in shaping the Continental Free Trade Agreement. And Albert Muchanga told them, yes, come and you will be at the table. I think this is an important message not to be forgotten. We lifted the voices of youth in trade and investment to the African Union with the adoption of a declaration on youth empowerment. They want, this is what you guys said you wanted. You want an Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement implemented soon that supports jobs. At the business-to-business session in this room, we saw nearly 300 companies from over 30 countries conduct bilateral meetings. There was a large presence of Indian companies, thanks to the program CETA. It's a program that ITC, the UK, and India have together. Altogether, companies reported having leads and deals somewhere between $6 and $20 million. This is big because the companies that trade in this room are small and medium enterprises. What we need to make sure is that we water the leads so that they can become deals, as you just rightly said, Ambassador. We've also hosted an investment roundtable with the Ethiopian Investment Commission and ITC's Partnership for Investment and Growth in Africa. It's a partnership between China, the UK, and the ITC. It was focused on textiles with more than 100 international buyers, potential Chinese investors, and representatives of Ethiopian institutions and possible projects. The meeting was followed by field visits during the week. The event enabled progress on 3 investment projects in the textile sector worth $100 million with a potential to create 10,000 new jobs, mostly for young women. Again, we look forward to materializing this job. We now have a joke in ITC. I came in May to cut a ribbon to open a textiles factory by an Indian investor in Mekelle Industrial Park. Now we have, for bureaucrats like me, it's not very often to cut ribbons to open factories. So we now have a competition ongoing in ITC to see which is the next factory that we will come to open a ribbon. So get ready, Ambassador. Now, we couldn't have organized the WEDF without the engagement of our partners, of participants, of speakers, and of partners. I would like to pass on my gratitude to CGTN Africa, to the Enhanced Integrated Framework, to the Ethiopian Airlines, to the Ethiopian Chamber of Commerce and sectorial associations, to the European Union, Germany, and the US, without whom none of this would have been possible. Give them a round of applause. We had 2 incredible receptions, one with an incredibly talented Ethiopian band, and another one yesterday with a band called Maisha, a mix of European and African musicians, just a pleasure for the ears and for the soul. They entertained us, we had food, we had music, we had an events partner, Flawless, with video, audio technicians, interpreters, translators, security staff, drivers, and last but not least, the incredibly devoted ITC staff. I think they deserve a big applause from all of us. There were many sleepless nights, I can tell you, but I want you guys to know that what everybody has been telling me is that despite your sleep deprivation, you kept your smile. So kudos for that. Greetings also, and thank you to the over 20 journalists from Africa who came and learned about the future of open trade on the continent. Obviously, the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement will not work unless everyone knows and is involved, and you are a big part in making this possible. Finally, before I reveal the winner of the pitching competition, I'd like to announce the next location for World Export Development Forum, August 2020. It will be in Mongolia, Ulaanbaatar. Thank you for buying already your tickets. And the moment you've all been waiting for. But before the big moment, I wanted to say that you may be thinking, a pitching competition. What is this about? Is this just a show? Let me tell you, for millions of enterprising young minds in Africa, seeing their peers succeed is not a trivial matter. It is in fact vital to battle against hopelessness and despair. Young people will inherit the opportunities that we are building now with the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. At ITC, we know the value of celebrating role models. Let's not forget that the winner gets $5,000 and one-to-one coaching and legal services to take business to the next level. But everybody gets the visibility that it deserves. Everybody becomes a role model for the millions of young people out there that are looking desperately to emulate someone. So yesterday we heard from 6 amazing entrepreneurs. They came from Cameroon, Ethiopia, Guinea, and South Africa. The finalists were selected by the International Trade Center in collaboration with Impact Hub Geneva, Accelerate 2030, ICE, Addis, and the Pierre Castel Foundation. All the entrepreneurs had incredible skills and talents. All understood the social dimension. All are already winners. Please, the 6, stand up. You deserve a big, big clap. Now, every year I repeat myself, but this year again, that it was really hard to choose one for the prize. All have won valuable exposure already. Past contests have shown this, but we can only have one winner. The winner is a company that impressed the judges with its commitment to sustainability, which provides jobs to more than 1,000 people, 80% of them women, is moved by a social and environmental mission. They are currently developing a system to commercialize maggots to produce compost. They work in a village in South Africa. They are Siyabadi.
And the minister there. You must be happy.
Congratulations.
So congratulations to Siyabonga Badi Chabalala from South Africa.
Okay.
you to the runners for the competition. Please stand up. Give them another big round of applause, please.
Thank you very much. I would love to say these few words. I would love to urge the youth to go back to their countries, identify problems, and find solution. That solution is an opportunity to the business, and it will create job opportunities. And the world that we are living in today is the results of our collective consciousness. So now we have to work together in making the world a better world. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well done, Sandy. This is not over yet. Don't. So, Albert, I think I want to recognize the work that your friendship, your commitment, your support, and the work that your colleagues have done together with our troops to do this World Export Development Forum. This is a small little token of our appreciation.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's not just for me. It's for the entire team of the Department of Trade and Industry, as well as the entire African Union Commission. And our partnership will be treasured. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And of course, all of this would not have been possible without a very close friendship and collaboration with the government of Ethiopia. So, Ambassador, again, as a small token of appreciation, maybe a reminder of the long sleepless nights, you can put it in the office when you cannot sleep, think of the good moments. And to all of you, the WEDF has come to an end. Thank you very much, and see you in Ulaanbaatar, August 2020. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm coming. Okay, I'm coming. You put it in the middle. Come here, come here. Okay. Okay. No problem. Yes, how are you? Okay. Yes, no problem.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You must come. Nyamwasa.